name's Maggie. I have an infertility diagnosis due to premature ovarian failure. 1 in 8 couples in the US experiences some type of infertility. So that means that most of us know someone who is going through the struggles of infertility. And many people who are not experiencing infertility want to be more supportive to a friend who is. So I came up with some thoughts on what interactions I've had with other people around my infertility diagnosis that have been most helpful and what's been less helpful. And I've split it into a do's and don'ts list. So I'm going to format this video with starting with the don'ts and then a do that you could do instead to be more helpful to a friend. So the first one I'll start with is don't make a joke about infertility. I think most people are aware that an April Fool's Day type joke or joking about being pregnant doesn't play very well. But there's some less insidious jokes that can be insensitive. Like I've heard, oh, well, do you want to just take my kids? I have a 3 and 4 year old, they get on my nerves. Or if someone's kids are around and they're behaving poorly, they'll say, oh, well, are you sure that you want all this? So stuff like that. I think that sometimes people can say that because they want to lighten the mood or they're uncomfortable, they're not sure what to say. But a do instead of going to that is just take a moment and think about what your reaction, the first thing that pops into your head, and think, oh, is this sensitive to what this person's telling me, or could this play badly? And don't feel bad if you've said something like that before. Just kind of think in the future whether that would be the best thing to say. The next don't that I have is don't avoid the topic or make it a taboo discussion. I want to talk about it more, not necessarily like the infertility diagnosis or whatever, but like I don't want it to be a taboo conversation. I think that brings shame around the infertility diagnosis, and really there shouldn't be any shame about it. It's just a medical diagnosis. So instead, check in with your friend, ask questions about what's going on. You don't necessarily want to pry somebody with questions about their treatment or whatever, but check in with them, see how they're doing, and then if they start talking about it, feel free to ask more questions, because there's a lot, especially if your friend is somebody going through infertility treatment. There's a lot of information happening, and they might want somebody to talk to about it, and at least knowing somebody who's interested in talking about it with them. So that's a good do. Then the next don't that I have is don't leave me out. I haven't experienced a lot of being left out, but I know that other people say that this happens to them as somebody with an infertility diagnosis, such as don't leave someone out of a baby shower invite when they would normally be invited, or child's birthday party, something like that. Yes, those situations can be really hard as someone going through infertility, but me as an infertile person, I don't want to be left out of life. Even though something can be hard, I can handle it, and if for whatever reason I can't handle that, then that can be my decision. So if it's something that you would invite that person to, if it were a wedding shower instead of baby shower, you would invite them, then don't leave them out just because of the infertility diagnosis. Instead, do you know that we want to participate in life, that even though events like that might be hard, that they want to be included. So the next don't that I have, and this has happened to me with some frequency, is don't offer advice, especially medical advice. And unless you happen to be reproductive endocrinologist or something like that, then perhaps no on the medical advice, because it's not that helpful. And stuff like anecdotal stories of someone who got pregnant from doing this, that, or the other, or like it could just happen or whatever. It's not that helpful, and it's pretty frustrating to hear that. And I know that comes from a good place and people want to be helpful, but I can go to a doctor, I can get an appointment for that, but I can't do that for a friend. So it's easy. Instead of offering the advice, do offer support. Even if you're not sure what to say, just saying like, oh, that's really hard. I'm sorry to hear that, and I'm here for you. Something like that is way more meaningful than offering advice or an anecdotal story. So I hope that these ideas are helpful in conversations that you might have, gives you something to think about. But in conclusion, these are all my opinions, what I find to be helpful. I think the most helpful thing that somebody who wants to offer support can do is to listen. And the best thing that someone like me or somebody that wants support can do is to speak up. So thank you so much for watching today.